He pretty much tells her, oh, well, you invaded my privacy, da 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 da. And Lydia goes, oh, I invaded your privacy because you were cheating on me with another girl during our relationship. And I said, Let's just jump right into episode 5 because there's a lot to cover. So in the last episode, Uche found out that Aaliyah decided to go home and leave the experiment. She kind of just was over all the drama and the mess between Uche and Lydia and them being exes. Uche is left with nothing. He hasn't been able to contact her. They have this huge argument and this huge blow up because Uche's like, I couldn't contact you. You blocked me. I couldn't talk to you for 48 hours. You just left and you didn't say nothing. That's not love, yada, yada, yada. Aaliyah says that she's sorry, but she needed to protect her mental health and she didn't have time to say goodbye. All I'm doing in these videos is breaking down the lies. Let's start it off with Aaliyah. I didn't have time to say goodbye.
I hate that I get this way, that my happiness depends on
Uche makes a valid point to me and he's like, you couldn't stick it out for one day because Aaliyah was saying that, oh, me and Lydia got into an argument. I'm just tired of hearing about you and it's just really hard living with an ex of yours. But he's kind of on the side of, well, if you just stick it out until I can propose to you, then we can go to Mexico, we can enjoy each other. Then Uche just ends up saying that he feels like he met the wrong person. Speaking of Lydia, she gets to meet Milton for the first time since he's proposed to her. They seem to be very attracted to each other. Like, I feel like of all the couples we've seen meet at this point, they have the most chemistry. They seem the most like a couple. I feel like they might actually be more of a promising couple than I thought they were going to be. Initially, in my last 2 videos, I kind of predicted that Taylor and JP are going to be the strongest couple and Milton and Lydia have nothing in common. Boy, have the tables turned. The couples go to Mexico. This is my favorite part of Love is Blind. I feel like a lot of people like when they move out and see each other's apartments and meet the parents. I really just like when they go to Mexico. You really start getting some hints on who may not last. And usually they do like a big meetup where the couples get to meet each other. People that have been talking to each other get to see like, oh, like this is the other person I was talking to, this is what they look like. And it's just always some drama. And this season did not disappoint. Kicking off Mexico with JP and Taylor. Already, just off the bat, their chemistry sucks. Like, something is off before they even talk. They're in this beautiful suite and Taylor's over here looking like somebody just took her Cheetos and stepped on them. I'm starting to realize when I watch Izzy and Stacy, my face is just like this. I knew from day one Izzy was going to be a problem and anyone Izzy chooses is going to just be in for a nightmare. JP sports even more American flag merch and he's not even in America anymore. And I just, at this point, I see why Taylor's getting turned off. It's starting to become clear that as fast as JP proposed to Taylor is as fast as they're clearly gonna break up, and I really don't even know if they're gonna make it to the altar at this point. I'm starting to feel kind of bad for him in this episode. Taylor just keeps poking at him, like she just keeps asking him questions and it's kind of sounding like she's trying to sabotage it. Initially in my first video, I said that sometimes, actually every season, there's someone who falls in love with someone in the pod and then when they see them, they don't think that they're very good looking and then they just start making all these excuses of why it's not gonna work and why something changed and I don't know what changed. We know what changed. You didn't like what they look like. Now Taylor feels like they don't talk enough. JP's too quiet. We talk so much in the pods. How come you don't want to talk? You don't want to talk? No, I don't want to talk. I want you to make me some chicken wings and put on the Patriots. You knew what kind of man that you got? Men like him just want to look at you while they're eating and you're in their vicinity. They are classic pack predators. Then Taylor starts crying because she's so frustrated with JP. She's just like, I don't know what changed. This is just so awkward. Things between us are so awkward. It's like, are they awkward or are you just completely unattracted to him? One thing I don't respect, especially it happens a lot in this show, is when people make up all these personal jabs about you when really they just don't find you attractive. Because if JP was quiet, he would just be cute and shy if he was fine. Since she doesn't find him cute, now all of a sudden it's he doesn't talk, he doesn't talk. Who wants a man to talk? I'm sorry. Have you heard a man who wears nothing but American flag merch speak? just be happy he's quiet. In the pods, you had nothing to do but talk and, try to get to know each other so you can get to this point. It's amazing weather. Go to the beach, like have fun. Who really wants to talk? I feel like one of the joys of being in a healthy relationship is that you can be around your partner and you don't have to speak. Like you feel so comfortable that you can just be enjoying each other's company without always going so deep into conversation. Like, can you imagine having an amazing plate of enchiladas, a nice big fat cup of Jamaica in Mexico, and somebody just comes and sit next to you and says, "Tell me the last time you've cried." So the couples are all prepping to meet, and Stacy tells Izzy, "Hey, I'm most worried about Lydia. Don't go talking Spanish with her and trying to be all sneaky." I thought Stacy was just being a little jealous and bitter for that one, talking about don't speak Spanish to Lydia. I want to know what y'all saying. Then you should have paid attention in high school. Well, I was wrong. First thing Izzy does is go pull Lydia aside to talk to her about how he's always cared about her and he kind of is starting to regret his decision. Now, he doesn't say, "I regret my decision," but he definitely came to Lydia with some energy, and then she kind of was like, "Oh, well, I like Milton, I'm with Milton, no hard feelings." First of all, you were all about Johnny and Stacy for the last 4 episodes. We really didn't hear much about Lydia after he curved her in like episode 1. Now all of a sudden, you want to put on your straight brimmed hat looking like Nicky Jam and like Latin women again? At this point, Taylor is just screaming with her body language that she does not want to be with JP. If you're mad on the beach in Mexico, you really hate the person you're with. She talks with Stacy, and Stacy like immediately clocks that she doesn't like JP as much as JP likes her, which I really like about Stacy. Like, Stacy's starting to really grow on me because she's very honest. JP can feel the distance from Taylor, and he just keeps saying, we'll keep trying, and whatever helps you get over the awkwardness and this and this and that. And I don't know, I'm just really starting to feel bad for him. I just wish that he would just like pack his bags and go. Episode 6, we jump right back into Taylor being annoyed with JP. Taylor and JP decide to get off the resort and go 4-wheeling, and Taylor even has a bad time doing that. They just get off. And Taylor goes right into, "So how do you feel about our relationship?" Oh my God. Can I just enjoy Mexico? She just can't get over it. And I'm like, if you make me like JP, Taylor, you really have some problems. Taylor keeps wanting JP to talk. And once JP finally opens his mouth, she doesn't like what he ends up saying. Why does JP tell her that when he first saw her after the proposal, he thought that she was fake because she had these super thick eyelashes on and her face was caked up? And I said, oh, shots have been fired. Shots have been fired. Good for you, JP, because I think that Taylor needed to be put in her place because she wasn't going to stop poking at you until you poked back. He said, "Oh, well, you had makeup all over my jacket after we hugged." I said, oh. He said she had a caked up face.
Bro, you had rolls all over the place in the back. It was disgusting.
Back rolls.
So then Taylor goes, "So if I have a bunch of makeup on, you can't communicate with me?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, Taylor says that she just can't see herself with him anymore. After the makeup comments he made, she knew that it was done. Taylor feels like JP is not the person that she fell in love with, so she takes off her ring and she like slides it across the table like they're playing Uno, and she has a draw 4, but she doesn't really want to give it to him. Like, he didn't really do anything to deserve it, but this is the only card I got. Lydia goes to Milton's apartment for the first time, and I expected it to be clean, but I didn't expect it to be so empty. Lydia keeps talking about how, oh, there's nothing on the walls, it's not decorated, this apartment looks like you just moved in. And I said, now Lydia, look at Milton and tell me if you wanted him to decorate that apartment. Do you want to see posters of Charmander all over the wall? Do you want to see Funko Pops stacked up of all of his favorite Marvel characters? Do you want a life-size statue of Cell from Dragon Ball Z in the living room? Because that's how it could have been decorated. So you better be happy that there's nothing in there, Lydia. Izzy goes to Stacy's house, and already we see Stacy driving around in a big body Benzo, and I said, oh, Okay, Stacy, that's my kind of girl. She is growing on me. Right off the bat, they're doing a tour and she wastes no time and she starts talking about what's your financial status? Do you have good credit? Do you have a 401k? And can you provide for me? And I said, yes, Stacy, big Capricorn energy. I just know she's a Cap. I can tell when a Cap is among us. She's like, so how do you feel about bills or splitting dinner? And he's just like, yeah, I feel like you should go 50-50 on everything. And she says, jump scare, 50-50 on dinner, 50-50 on bills. I've never dated a man who didn't have a home. I've never dated a man who's ever asked me to pay for anything. I've never dated a man who's been broke like you. And you already know Izzy starts shaking again when he gets uncomfortable. Episode 7. This episode sent me. It was so juicy. Let's just jump right into it. Let me get I took notes because so Aaliyah and Uche meet in a restaurant, and can you guess what the topic is? It's about how Uche feels, of course. Uche starts talking about how he feels like it was wrong for him to not be able to contact her, for you to just leave without saying anything. Aaliyah, whose hair looked amazing. She looked so stunning in this scene. Like, she looked so beautiful. She at first left and blocked him and didn't even want to talk to him, didn't even say goodbye. But then when she sees him in person, she starts talking about how she feels sorry and she wants to be with him still and she still sees a future with them. She's like, I know I blocked you and you couldn't talk to me, but I still felt like we could make it work. How, girl, with a carrier pigeon? But then Uche starts spilling some tea on Lydia and starts talking about, okay, you know what? You want to know about Lydia so bad. Lydia's the reason why, we broke up, and Lydia's the reason why you went home, which is what Aaliyah says. Basically, after I broke it off with Lydia, she starts calling me. She starts texting me. She won't leave me alone. She's watching his friends' stories, trying to see where he's at and keep up with him. Now, initially, I was more on Uche's side because he really wasn't showing too many red flags to me. He actually seemed pretty reasonable in the whole situation, kind of saying like, I mean, if I talked bad about Lydia, you would have thought that maybe that's how I would talk about you if you were my ex. And if I talked really positive and said she's funny and smart and this and this and that, you were gonna be sus. So I mean, I thought that was pretty reasonable. But then he starts saying that Lydia, he kind of tries to make it seem like she's a stalker. And typically when a man makes a woman seem like a stalker, he cheated or did something that has provoked the situation. And anyone starts talking about how someone is so obsessed with them, they keep calling and texting, it's like, have you ever heard of the block button? Typically, if there's someone you don't want to keep calling or texting you, you just block them. It's really that easy. So if you're being hounded by the calls, maybe you want the calls. So that's when I started thinking, maybe Uche's a little bit of a little narcissist. Uche says that Lydia drove past his house one night and said, I see you, and took pictures of his driveway. And again, I'm just thinking, if she was so crazy, then why did you even get the message? Because why was she not blocked? So maybe you like the attention. Yeah, I feel like Aaliyah was smart initially in leaving because she knew in the back of her head that Uche was a liar or Lydia was a lot. Something just wasn't sitting right with Aaliyah. But I feel like in his presence, especially just still liking him, it was hard for her to connect all the dots. It's pretty clear that Uche's lying about something. Anytime a guy talks about his ex and he says that she's crazy, she's obsessed, she won't leave me alone, we all know what that means. That is a red flag on his part, and there's probably something that he's hiding. Aaliyah told Uche that she started to think that maybe Lydia wanted to be on the show and tried to be on the show with Uche, and maybe they were doing some conspiracy where they both want to be on the show at the same time, which Uche just finds laughable. I would never. You think that I, Uche, would ever have the time to organize with someone to be on the same show? Oh. Aaliyah kind of tries to make the case that Uche still likes Lydia because Uche was kind of always talking about how Milton's not ready for marriage and their relationship may not work out, which is kind of making Aaliyah feel like, why do you care? I knew that this whole Aaliyah, Lydia, and Uche love triangle thing was just fishy. We finally start getting some answers towards the end of the episode, but let's just jump right into Izzy and Stacy. Stacy goes over to Izzy's place and she is not amused. He opens up his cupboards and there's plastic cups and plastic plates stacked up. Now that's what pissed me off. You can have plastic plates as a single man. You can have plastic cups, but you better have them on the countertop. Like, don't stack them up neatly like it's some silverware. Also, have you ever been to Dollar Tree? Like, you can literally, for $1, get real plates, real cups. Like, you don't have to live this way. Stacy brings up a great point that, okay, let's just say that you live with paper plates and you don't like to wash dishes. You knew I was coming over. That's the same thing as like, okay, maybe you have a dirty room. Maybe you have a dirty house. If you know guests are coming over and you leave it dirty, that's kind of a sign of disrespect and kind of seems like you really don't care or feel like I'm worth even cleaning up for. And also she like finds this lost and found drawer where he has all of these items from different women he's been with, like earrings and stuff like that. Like all of that, she's like, okay, but why didn't you throw it away? Like, why didn't you throw this stuff away and make this apartment feel like you're about to have your wife in it? So they have their first big argument because Izzy's like, well, I'm not gonna change the way I am for you, and I'm just trying to stay real. I'm just trying to keep it real with you, that this is how I live before you. Huh? So if you had women's panties all over your room because you had a life before me, you're not supposed to clean it up or throw those away before I walk in? Like, hello? So Stacy really confronts him about it and she doesn't let it go. And Izzy starts getting all frustrated because clearly he's been allowed to treat women like this in the past, because he's absolutely shocked that she's pissed off about the paper plates and paper cups. Stacy's like, so in the past, you've had women, you've cooked for women and had them eat off of paper plates and paper cups? Yeah. So then Izzy tries to use the fact that she's rich against her and call her materialistic and try to allude to her being a gold digger and being superficial. First of all, who cares? The only men who get all bent out of shape don't have any money anyways, which Stacy already knows you don't have any money because you just opened up the cupboard and you had red Solo cups like you're in college. So at this point, you should be happy that she's loving you for who you are, because me, I would have left Izzy a long time ago. Izzy tries to be like, oh yeah, her exes were financially stable, but they weren't emotionally stable like me.
Who had been saying that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
You haven't been able to even physically sit in a chair without looking like you're getting electrocuted the entire season, and now we're supposed to think that she's high maintenance, she wants this and she wants that. Men want you to look past their appearance, men want you to look past their finances, men want you to look past their infidelities, and what do women get in return? Men don't look past any of women's flaws, and women just have to be daredevil to their flaws. Even if you did feel like having paper plates and all this stuff and the earrings and lost and found, if you felt like all that was okay before you did it, okay. Now she's confronted you about it. The fact that you're instead choosing to argue instead of being like, oop, my bad, I'll get some plates. Let's go to Home Goods right now, babe. Let's go get me some plates and stuff like that. And you can throw all the stuff out from the other girls you want. I don't care. How easy would that have been? But no. Izzy decided he wants to argue about it. Well, the topic of money continues on when Izzy goes to meet Stacy's family. Stacy's family is clearly wealthy, and her family is not about to let Izzy not be a provider and forget that Stacy likes nice things. Stacy shows her a ring, and her sister looks like, what is that, pebble? Let's get that appraised for the $2 we about to get back on it. They are not impressed by Izzy at all. Clearly, they all feel like Stacy is downgrading. I already felt like Stacy was downgrading, but now they're adding finances to the mix. Izzy does what he always does when he's asked a direct question and tries to become a used car salesman. Me and my buddy, we flew down to Colorado. He asked me if he wants to join, if I want to join an agency. I said, sure. I didn't know anything about insurance, but then I said, you know what, actually, I think I can do this. And and her sister says, so do you have a job or? No, girl, let me just clear it up for you. He's unemployed. Anytime someone asks you, what do you do? And you say anything other than the title of what you do, you're unemployed. Okay, we all been there. So we finally get a break from Izzy being poor and Stacy pretending she doesn't care. And we get to move on to the Pod Squad meetup. And guess who walks in wearing yet another perfectly fitted dress? My girl Johnny. Now what I wasn't expecting from Miss Johnny is for her to tell us that her and Chris are boyfriend girlfriend. I said, Oh no, because I told y'all in my last video, Chris is not going to be able to hold strong. He told her before, like, hey, I'm not a second choice. You don't get to treat me like that. All of a sudden, Johnny starts telling us about how, oh, we met at the airport. Who meets in an airport? What do you mean? What are you saying to me? What are the odds you're taking the exact same flight in the exact same airport at the exact same time to somebody? I said, oh no. Chris and Johnny met at this airport and started talking, and the vibes were immediately there. Fast forward, now they're boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm so done. I'm so disappointed in Chris. Johnny and Izzy decide to talk. I'm still a little bit confused on who initiated the conversation. When they're alone together, it ends up getting very heated. Izzy still seems very annoyed and mad at her, which I'm a little bit like, but I thought you said you loved Stacy so much and Johnny was someone that you're glad you didn't pick. You're a snake. Nobody likes you in this house. Everybody thinks that you are so shady and so sketchy. You're this, you're that. And it's like, whoa, Izzy, calm down. Like, even if she is all those things, why did you feel the need to talk to her about that and pull her aside if you're in a happy relationship? Like, shouldn't you just be back with your girlfriend and maybe you guys can gossip about her together? That's kind of the couple thing to do, not take the girl to another room and then talk to her privately about how she's so terrible and you're so over her, right, Izzy? Yeah, right. Yes, Johnny did some shady things to Chris, but Johnny doesn't owe Izzy anything. Johnny didn't do anything that Izzy didn't do. Izzy was talking to two different people. Johnny was talking to two different people. I feel like Izzy doesn't like the fact that he has so much ego. He has so much pride. He, like Uche, feels like they're so much better than everyone else. So he feels like, oh, how dare you talk to another man when you're talking to me? How come you're telling him one thing and telling me another thing? I can't fathom a world where somebody lies to the other person they're talking to. But when Izzy was telling Stacy, oh my God, like, you're such a party girl. I love how fun you are. But then he told Johnny, Stacy's so unserious. She just doesn't know how to be vulnerable. Is that not the same thing? More and more as Izzy is railing into Johnny in this last episode, I just can't get out of my head that he looks like, what's that guy from Despicable Me? It is so clear that Izzy is still very much in love with Johnny because, one, you do not go up to another girl when your girlfriend is there, period. Especially to go up and yell at her and say how nobody likes her and I don't like you. Okay, if you don't like me, then why are you here? And Johnny kind of gives off that energy of being like, okay, well, I'm with Chris, so if I'm such a terrible, sketchy person, isn't it great that we didn't work out then, right? Stacy clocks it and she's like, you look really upset. So what happened? She called me sketchy. So you're this mad because she called you sketchy? What did she say? Oh, well, she talked about my friends. She said, those friends that she's sitting with right there? Like, Stacy is really smart. I'm starting to pick up on that. She's smart, and I think she's trying to be delusional. Like, she's trying really hard to be delusional, but she's just so like right there with everything that it's like, I don't think it's gonna last very long because eventually her intelligence is going to like override the delusion and be like, girl, you're seeing these flags, right? Izzy keeps telling Stacy randomly after this fight, I love you so much, babe. I'm so happy I picked you, babe. Okay, I know you love me, but why are you all of a sudden showering me and love bombing me now that you just left this conversation with Johnny? Okay, so my favorite part of this entire episode, the juice gets juicy and the tea is piping hot. Uche busts in there. He's like, I need to talk to you, Lydia. You were stalking all of these different girls on Instagram. They were messaging me saying that you have been stalking their stories. And I said, hold up. Let's slow down. He told Aaliyah that Lydia was stalking his friend's profile. Now when he's with Lydia, he says that Lydia was stalking other girls' profile on Instagram. Those are two very different wordings. Now, obviously girls can be your friend, but I do think it's interesting that he changed the wording when he was talking to Aaliyah, calling them friends, and then talking to Lydia, someone who knows the truth and is, a party that's involved, saying that they were other girls. I feel like you could have just still said friends and she would have known, okay, they're girls, and she would have known what he was talking about. Follow me, camera. Uche tells Lydia that he cares about her and starts kind of buttering her up just to like let her down and get her attached again so that he can detach. It's almost like he feels like Lydia has really moved on with Milton, which I'm starting to feel like too. I hope they actually do last longer than everyone else, because it seems like Lydia's very happy with Milton. And I've always liked Milton, especially now that he has a haircut. I'm back on board, right? Uche's saying that Lydia was a stalker. He hasn't mentioned Aaliyah once, which I find very odd, because I thought you bust in there to talk about why you ruined my relationship with my girlfriend, or, you know, who I was going to propose to. He talks to Lydia for 10 minutes and never brings up Aaliyah's name once. He pretty much tells her, oh, well, you invaded my privacy, da 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 da. And Lydia goes, oh, I invaded your privacy because you were cheating on me with another girl during our relationship. And I said, oh, didn't Uche go off on Aaliyah talking about how could you cheat? The only time I've ever cheated was when I was 18, and you cheated on Lydia this whole time, you little liar. I was so gagged. I was like, oh my God. Uche really is the worst, because he was like so judgmental towards Aaliyah and making Aaliyah feel so crazy. And guess what? Aaliyah was right. I think that Aaliyah was just misguided, but she was almost there. You know, like if she had some objectivity and she didn't like Uche and she didn't like Lydia, like all of us sitting at home were so able to clock what's going on, I feel like Aaliyah would have been able to see that Lydia doesn't like Uche anymore. Personally, I don't think she likes him anymore. Lydia genuinely likes Milton, and Aaliyah couldn't accept that, and neither could Uche. I feel like Milton is so much easier to be around than Uche. Uche's clearly a cheater. He's arrogant. He kind of just puts these women on these roller coasters. Milton seems like he's pretty straightforward. All you have to do to impress him, you slide some food under the door while he's playing Valorant. You won't hear from him for 6 hours. I would pick Milton any day. Uche pulled Lydia aside just to talk about all the things that she did. Okay, let's say that all those things are true. So you're telling me this now? Like, you've had how long to talk about this with me? Like, you could have talked about this with me outside of the house. You could have talked to me about this when it happened, but now you're taking this moment on TV to talk about how you're so this and you're so that, trying to really lay into Lydia. And then when Lydia comes back and say that he cheated, all he can talk about is, but you invaded my privacy. You invaded my privacy. I'm trying not to have another rant, but men talking about their privacy being invaded when they have cheated on you and you happen to snoop or look through their phone to find out, oh my God, that sends me. Men will literally put their private parts in another woman's body, risk giving you a disease, and then be mad that you happened to go through their phone and invade their privacy. What about breaching my trust? What about possibly making me have a lifelong disease? What about making me feel lied to and like I'm not worth anything? You shouldn't have looked through my drawers. Milton finally enters the picture, and he busts in there once he finds out that Lydia and Uche are talking, and Uche tries to be like, can you give us a moment? Can you give us like 10 minutes? Can you give us like 10 minutes? As if that's not my potential wife. Like, Milton pretty much lets Uche and Lydia know, look, this is my girl. I'm checking on if she's okay. If she's not okay in 10 minutes, we're gonna have a problem. And I said, okay, Milton, yes. Let them know. And Lydia's like, just let us talk, okay? I got this. And Milton's like, okay. The conversation with Lydia and Uche just continues to get heated. Uche refuses to take accountability for all the things that he's done, trying to get Lydia, you know, together, put Lydia in her place when you cheated. Like, I hate when men try to focus on how women act after the cheating. You can't control how someone feels anger, feels hurt. You shouldn't do it in the first place, so you never have to find out how people handle that. No, my camera light died. Okay, well, if you're still here this close to the end of the video, we're here together. Let's keep going with this tea. Lydia storms off. She's so pissed off that Uche's not taking accountability. She's like, I don't need to talk to you. I'm happy with Milton. I want to be with Milton. You're talking about all this stuff that I did wrong. Okay. Even if I did those things wrong, well, good thing we're not together, right? All Uche's been talking about is how he doesn't really like Lydia. He doesn't like Lydia. The truth is, he likes having his little puppy. He likes having somebody chase him. He likes having somebody like him so much that they feel crazy about him. Some people are like obsessed with like that validation and that constant attention. So sometimes there's people that have crushes on you, you don't even like them, but you still like being liked. And I feel like Uche is a narcissist. She mentions that he's arrogant. She mentions that he's a narcissist. So I feel like it's kind of true. If you've noticed, Uche is supposed to be so head over heels over Leah, yet he hasn't mentioned her this entire conversation and is really just trying to get Lydia to apologize for poorly reacting to him cheating. I'm not even sure what he's even talking about. The only reason he brought Aaliyah to that dinner is because he wanted to break up with her. He wanted to be the one that left her. He literally brought her all the way down there just to say that we're not gonna work out, right? Now with Lydia, he pulled her to the side just to talk about how we're not gonna work out and I don't like you. Okay, we're already broken up with and I'm already about to get married to another man. Like, what are you on? Personally, I feel like he resented Aaliyah for leaving because that means that clearly you're not obsessed with me. How dare you leave? How dare you give up on us because I am Uche and I do poetry and I'm a lawyer and I'm so this and boo. You were still in the wrong for both parties, with Aaliyah and with Lydia. It all kind of comes back to Uche. Personally, I don't think it's really Aaliyah or Lydia's fault. No one's hands are clean, but I don't think it really matters if Lydia was this awful person because at the end of the day, you said you didn't like her, right? And you didn't want to be with her, right? So Lydia storms off and she's looking for Milton, and Uche tries to pull Milton aside and say, oh, let's just go. Let's leave her. Huh? But we're gonna see what ends up happening. I feel like this season has been so great. Like, there's so much to talk about. Make sure you follow me on TikTok because I also post like mini versions of my thoughts on different specific scenes since I can't really put too many scenes here on my YouTube channel without getting copyrighted. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. We're growing. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.